Hey everyone, welcome back. This is my third best of podcasts this week. I think after this week, I'm going to take a couple of days off. This is exhausting recording and editing. I think the editing part kind of kills me, but it's fun. This is cool. I like doing this. So let's just get started. This is going to be my best of deathcore and metalcore releases of 2022, and so train rolling. So I got two honorable mentions. So these are albums that came out, I checked out, but didn't really spend a lot of time with. I mean, there's some really kick-ass music on these two, but I just didn't spend that much time, but I do recommend checking them out. The first one is Shadow of Intent, Elegy. It's I think it came out earlier this year. I checked out Shadow Intent. They're pretty sick. The thing I like about them is everything they do is self-released, and so it's cool just seeing that they get on these big ass tours and that they self-release all their own music and all their merch. So they're not on any like record label or anything. But the album Elegy, it came out earlier this year. If you're not familiar with them, they're like a symphonic, like black metal inspired deathcore. And one thing I liked about this album was that they got Chuck Billy to sing on one of their songs, which like that in and of itself is like, belongs on a best of list just to get Chuck Billy on a song. But check them out. Next, I want to mention Chelsea Grin. They put out an album just about a month ago, barely, called Suffer in Hell. It's part one of two. They're putting out a double album. Part one is Suffer in Hell. Part two is Suffer in Heaven. And so this is part one. And then I think part two will come out next year, 2023. And I dig Chelsea Grin. They're a deathcore band from like Utah. Some people like talk shit and say like they're like religious and Mormon, which I kind of think they do because when I lived in Phoenix, one of the guys I did my like medical program with, he was from Utah and he was Mormon, and him and I, when we would like, it was just us working together, we would like jam out to Chelsea Grin in the hospital, and he would like tell me like the lyrical meanings behind like some of their songs, which I always thought was cool. And that for that reason alone, gotta mention Chelsea Grin. But yeah, the one thing they did on this album, they featured Trevor Strnad on the second track, Forever Bloom. So yeah, that is worthy of honorable mention on this. So check them out. All right, I'm going to start this top 10 here. Number 10, I've been a fan of this band for a couple of years now. It's Motionless in White, and the album Scoring the End of the World, which is kind of a weird album title. And yeah, Motionless in White, they started out as like pretty heavy, like deathcore, like, 12, 13 years ago, and slowly evolving into what they are now, which they're more of like I would say more of like a rock, like goth rock band with like, if you check out their albums, they do still have some of that deathcore style within their music. So this album and the last album Disguise, that came out, I think in 2019, like that was an amazing album. Like it's just pure like nu metal worship. And this album continues on with their like nu metal worship. Yeah, I mean, I dig them. Some people like probably like talk shit about them, but they're still cool. I mean, they're on, they're getting more and more recognized. I think they got like a top 10 like Billboard like hard rock song this year. So yeah, they're slowly gonna become like just a headliner, whether we like it or not. Next, Miss May I and their album Curse of Existence. I've been a fan of Miss May I for actually their whole like discography is cool. Like, they came out like in the late 2000s. And so this album takes you back to that like, mid to late 2000s metalcore scene. If you want to take a time machine back to 2007, check this album out. Like, I don't know who needs like As They Lay Dying. Like, we got Miss May I. They probably sound more like As They Lay Dying than As They Lay Dying does now. And I believe Tim Lambesis has been poaching members from Miss May I because the original As They Lay Dying band had been slowly like, leaving. So yeah, check out Miss May I. It's a sick album. All right, next I do have the record. Here we go. So Lamb of God, Omens. So I still consider Lamb of God like a quintessential metalcore because that's kind of when they came out. They came out, when the scene was booming, like with bands like As They Lay Dying, Unearth, Killswitch Engage. All these bands came out together. And so if you want to see the vinyl on this video, I got the red copy. And the pre-order came with an autograph. Well, it was like sold as a autograph vinyl, which kind of was bullshit. It's actually just a separate like insert. And the thing I don't like is when they sign with a black marker on a like black like printed album art. So I mean, it's still a cool album. Pretty standard Lamb of God material. I like this. I do like this album Omens better than their previous album that came out in 2020. I think the drummer, I think his name's Art Cruz. I feel like he didn't really get his drum parts like settled in on that last album, but this album, I feel like his drum parts are more in line with like what Lamb of God sound like. So cool, pretty standard Lamb of God album, which is cool with me. So check them out. And then next is I have the CD right here. Descent, and the title is Order of Chaos. So, shout out to people who collect CDs and records and share them on Instagram, because that's how I found out about this band. And there's a dude on Instagram, I think his name's Metal Dad. Shout out to him because he like posts a lot of cool ass music, and which is where I got this recommendation. So Descent, I believe they're from Australia. They're pretty cool. They're pretty unique. They have more of a HM2 guitar, like buzzsaw guitar tone. And so it's kind of it. I don't know. I had a hard time. Like, is this death metal or is this deathcore? But I think if you kind of look at their previous release and, like kind of like the way they perform and the way they like kind of present themselves, I think it's more along the lines of deathcore. But yeah, it's a sick album. I think I like it because all the songs are like mid-tempo. So there's not like, constant blast beats or constant breakdowns. So it's kind of a mid-tempo album. So yeah, check out Descent, Order of Chaos. All right, next I have the record. It's Fit for an Autopsy. Oh, what the future holds. So Fit for an Autopsy. This is I don't remember which album. I think this is like album number, I want to say number 7 or number 6, but really cool artwork. And I'll show the record for anyone watching out there. pretty cool splatter, like blue and green with the black splatter. So Lamb of God, sorry. So Fit for an Autopsy, yeah, they've been pretty consistent now. I think they finally got like a really stable lineup. When they first came out, like I think there was a constant lineup changes and constant vocalist changes. So I think this is the fourth album with their current vocalist. And yeah, I do dig a lot of Fit for an Autopsy. I think the last like four albums have been like just on point. And the last album I was a big fan of, The Sea of Tragic Beasts. I actually have the record right here. And I did their meet and greet when they did the headline tour for this album. So yeah, shout out Fit for an Autopsy. And yeah, it's cool that, they recognize like Native people when they do their live shows. And yeah, so check out Fit for an Autopsy. It's a pretty sick album. And then number 5, I have the vinyl here, Body Snatcher, the album title Bleed Abide. Here, I'll show the record for people watching. I got it's like the bone, what's it called? The Fruit Punch vinyl is what it's listed as. So yeah, Body Snatcher. I'm fairly new to Body Snatcher. I saw them with Gatecreeper, Hatebreed, and Obituary last month. And yeah, I was really surprised by like Body Snatcher. They were like super heavy, probably the heaviest band that played. I mean, in terms of like, guitar tuning and just overall sound and production. And I really dig the lead singer. He's like super like energetic. He's like, just like on stage, like just, having the time of his life. But yeah, that's Body Snatcher, Bleed Abide. So check them out. You can see your way out, but you've grown too weak. Next, number 4, I have the CD Enterprise Earth, the title of the album, The Chosen. Here's the disc if anyone's watching. I really dig this artwork. This is really cool. I mean, it's probably computer generated, but it's still really cool. I like the color, the blue and the purple and the green. Yeah, it's like a church, like glass, stained glass, like artwork. But this came out earlier in the year, and I remember all my social media stuff, I was getting bombarded with ads to check this out. So pretty sure they spent a lot of money on, ad and marketing, but it's really, really cool album. There's quite a few songs. There's about 14 tracks, and it's kind of like, it's pretty, it's got a like wide range. I mean, I know there's like some songs that are like super heavy deathcore. And then there's some songs that are like kind of like got some thrash and like some sick ass like death metal riffs. But yeah, it's a really cool album. I really dig it. I really want to check them out live. I think they toured with like Fit for an Autopsy earlier this year, and I just missed it. I lived too far to check out those cool shows, especially if they're like in the middle of the week. But yeah, check out Enterprise Earth. Number 3, I think this is probably on a lot of people's like favorite albums of the year, and this is Lorna Shore, Pain Remains. Yeah, it's a freaking like epic album. I would like, epic is probably the best way to describe it, just because like it's a really long album. It's like over an hour. There's like 10 tracks, and I think the highlight is the last 3 tracks, Pain Remains 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, it just it's really I would say, I guess the best word to say is just epic and cinematic. Yeah, they do have like a symphonic like black metal aspect to the band. And the person who does that symphonic part of the sound is like really good. Whoever they are, they should probably be, making movies and scoring soundtracks for movies. It's really cool. It's really amazing. I think that's probably the best part of this album. And it's actually really cool to see Lorna Shore get more and more recognized. They're like superseding all the bands that have been out for so long. Like, they're superseding like bands like Suicide Silence and like Whitechapel. They're like, I think they're probably on the level of Whitechapel right now. So it's really cool to see new bands like kind of take over and take place for the older bands. But that's Lorna Shore. And then this one next is Malevolence, Malicious Intent. Here's the CD. I believe they're from England. They're an English band. This is the first time I heard them. So if this is what they've sounded like on the past albums, I got to go check them out, because this is like, I don't know, it's really like really heavy. It kind of reminds me of like Crowbar and Hatebreed. And if people remember the Kingdom of Sorrow, the Jamie Josta, Kurt Weinstein project that came out 10 years ago, like if you dig that album, like those Kingdom of Sorrow albums, you should definitely check out Malevolence, because it's really heavy, but it's also got like almost like a southern like sludge aspect to their sound too, just like Crowbar and Down and all those Louisiana bands. So pretty sick ass album. Definitely check it out. And then my favorite album of the year, as far as the deathcore, metalcore, hardcore, I Am. I've talked about this a lot, like on social media. It's super heavy. One of the best albums this year. And when I pre-ordered the record, it came with the autograph. See, this is how you do autographs for bands. If it's on black, get a silver marker and have them autograph it, which looks better. But I Am, the title, Eternal Steel. It's I would say, the reason I put them as like this list as a deathcore and metalcore, here's the record, because they're rooted in like deathcore. If you go back and check out their music, they did start as like a deathcore band and then slowly evolved into what they are now, which is kind of more like a death thrash hardcore fusion. And this album is really freaking heavy. It's like one of those like albums, like it's just a complete album. I feel like every song kind of it's just a balanced album. I think all the songs kind of work well together, and it's just I just say it's a really sick album, and I recommend listening to the whole album from front to back. But that's Eternal Steel, I Am. Check it out. And I'm gonna take a break on these lists. I really want to do a death metal and black metal list, but I think those are actually kind of hard to put together, just because there's so many, like, especially with death metal, so many death metal albums that I really like. But I'm really going to try to narrow it down to like top 10 plus like 5 like that I really liked. Otherwise it would be like a list of like 50 death metal albums, and I don't want to put the effort in recording and editing that. So that's why I'm going to try to do like a list of 10 plus 5 I really liked. But hopefully I'll get that out next week. But thanks for checking this out. Yeah.